Well, it's championship time for Saluki softball. It's also championship time for track and field as
Yeah.
Coach Jones joins us here to preview the upcoming weekend in Terre Haute for the outdoor championship season. Coach Jones, we appreciate the time. It's, of course, been a busy outdoor. You, of course, have an indoor season.
hmm
How would
hmm
you basically encompass how the whole year's been for your track and field
Uh,
program?
this is coming to the end of year 2 for me as the director of the program. We've been moving steadily, moving upward. Made some adjustments, made some changes. Indoor, we did fairly well. I think outdoor, we are better equipped to perform well in the outdoor season. The young, the group of men and women, I got a lot of transfers, a lot of changes, all positive, and it's working. It takes the indoor season, it takes the fall conditioning, it takes all of those pieces to kind of culminate to where we are right here and right now. And I think they've done a good job doing that. I'm excited about the championship as you would expect, but there's also a bit of anxiety that comes with that as well. We Southern Illinois has always been probably one of the top teams in the MVC, so it's just kind of maintaining that standard, right? Getting that to the kids, making sure that they understand what it is, and then just hoping that they perform well when it's time to perform.
How do you spend your time? You mentioned the history. There's a lot of history here in
Hmm
Carbondale and success of not just winning, of course, MVC championships, but going on into the next round,
hmm
going into the
hmm
NCAAs, being able to go to national
hmm
championships, Olympics, all that stuff.
Yes, yes.
The history is here. How do you address that with your current athletes
So,
of kind of that expectation?
yeah, so me and some of my other coaching peers just across the landscape, the phrase that we've been saying is the standard, right? So you have young men and women that want to be national caliber athletes. You have young men and women that want to be Olympians. You have young men and women that are excited to be part of a Division I college program. All of those are different groups of people on the same team. So we just have to continue to set the expectations, set the expectations, and then look to see. Hopefully, these kids fit one of those expectations, and then we train accordingly, right? So there are some levels. Some athletes may get a little bit more. The expectation for them may be greater than some of the others. Ultimately, we want to make sure that we do have a set standard that they understand what Southern Illinois is in terms of track and field here in this area and nationally as well, and then see if they are willing to meet that challenge to meet those expectations.
You said you really like the trajectory. What have you
hmm
seen this year from the women's side, the men's side, both sides of your program that give you that optimism that the trajectory is going
Um,
the way you want it to?
because they're young. Like I said, I think there is a level of just a level of growth and development. As we talked earlier, just a function of knowing the expectations and what my expectations are as the head coach of the program now. So they have adjusted. There was a little hesitancy. That's probably the best way to say it. And then it becomes normalized. And once it becomes normalized, then they can try and exceed those expectations. So that's where the trend has kind of been going. In the fall, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so difficult. It's this, it's that. Then they compete well during the indoor, and it's like, okay, it's not as bad as we thought. I'm moving. I want to do better. And now we're getting to that point where they want to exceed those expectations and really perform well at the championship meet.
Well, on the men's side, Xavier Preston's been such a big part of the program over
hmm
the years.
hmm
What does he bring from a day to day standpoint that sets him up for so much success when it matters most?
I think he's one of the young men that want to be on a national scale, and he wants to represent Southern Illinois in a good way, positively, as well as being one of the top athletes coming through here. And that mindset is infectious, right? So he does that. He comes with a positive attitude pretty much every day. Some level of levity, like he's always in that regards. But he's still just a sophomore too, right? So he's still growing as a young man. So now we're having to have these kind of conversations um, to really help him move the needle a little bit. And I would say, every program to some degree or another has an alpha male, right? Or an alpha. I'm not gonna say alpha male, but an alpha.
Yeah.
And talent-wise, he is that alpha. His peers are right there. I don't know if what's the next one, beta, right? Like, so there's a very good, there's A1 and A2, and what they're all trying to do together is move the needle collectively. I do believe they look to him, though, just because of who he is, and then him and his peers are collectively moving together. So that's a good thing.
Had so much success. I mean, when I think of my time being around the Missouri Valley Conference, you've had so many good field events
Mm-hmm,
and field
mm-hmm,
event athletes
mm-hmm,
through the years
mm-hmm.
here in Carbondale. As you look towards this week, where on the men and the women's side are you most looking forward to in the field events?
So I think once again, because there's a lot of youth, but just growing up, I think our jumps and those field events will do really well as well on both particularly the men's side. I'm looking to see them do well um, with both the long jump, triple jump, and high jump on the men's side. On the women's side, we have a few throwers that should fare pretty well as the women's long and triple too, triple jump as well. I think the throws is growing. They are growing. A lot of them are very young. A lot of freshmen and sophomores on the team. So in the strength or the power events, such as it's called, they just have to physically get that much stronger. They still kind of have some of the high school weight. You know, you just got to transition into the collegiate frame, and then that'll transition into some better marks down the line. I think they still probably like next year to me is going to be a pretty significant year if I can really predict long term. Year 3 on out is where I believe things are really going to start to take shape here for the programs, both men and women.
You've had such great success as an athlete during your time at Ohio State in the
Hmm.
relays. It seems
Hmm.
like you have the potential this week to have
Hmm.
success in the relays.
Hmm.
Where do you see the relay success where this team this year could really have that success in Terre Haute?
Yeah, so this is on the men and women relays are both one of the top 2 to 3 teams in the conference, and very tightly contested as well. So it is going to really be, and that's the last day of the championship, and it's like the first race of the meet, which is the 4x1, and then the last race of the meet, which is the 4x4. So they bookend. So you either want to historically, you either want to start the meet well, right? You know, that resonates with the team. And then when it really comes down to how do we end the meet, right? So those were kind of the things as an athlete at Ohio State were really big for us. That became kind of our culture. And I wanted to kind of, emulate the same thing with this program here. I do believe that because they're so tightly contested, it is going to come down to the details and really the heart of the program. Who wants it? Who's going to finish? All of those kind of, all the coach talk
Yeah.
that makes for championship events. I think both the men and women are really. I'm excited to see how if they really are going to perform this weekend in that regards.
Well, the other side of it too, Coach Jones, is you think of, I meant to even get to it before diving into the event, is as you get prepared for the championship, it's a grueling process for
Hmm.
coaches to pick who you want on your roster,
Hmm.
who
Hmm.
you think can go and get points and
Hmm.
score and give
Hmm.
yourself the best chance to get to a championship. From a fan perspective that may not see it every year,
Hmm.
every day, describe the process it's like with you and your coaches working with your athletes too of, okay, here's how our championship lineup is going to look.
Yeah, so that's that. So in the war room, as I call it, right?
Yes.
We do have to kind of. So for track and field, you have a 32-person championship roster. Regardless of the size of your team, we have, somewhere in the 50. Every program is a little bit different, but you know, think of a program you may have 50 or 60 people on there per gender, and you have to narrow it down to 32. So you have to kind of go through that process, and then you have to look to see where they can best get the points without necessarily spreading them too thin, right? You want to be able to say this is your marquee event, so we really want you to do well there, and we want to do, but you may have an opportunity to make a final and score some points in this, so we're going to do that. So we've actually done that. This is probably one of the first years since I've been here that we've done something along those lines where the athletes themselves, they want to do so well, they are willing to say, hey, coach, I can do this additional event. Put me in it, coach. All right. And we actually have given it a shot, and it's been relatively successful. So we'll see how that goes. So we look to the primary events to fill those gaps. Where can we score the most points? And then we also look to see if there are any secondary points that they can maybe steal a point from another team here and there that we haven't done all year, or we've done a little bit, but really going to try to do it in championship time. It's kind of like all hands on deck. Whoever's available, we may put you in this spot within reason. Not going to just throw somebody that's never run the mile. Hey, you're going to go run the mile. Nothing like that, right? But if there is some benefit to them competing at the championship level and can get us some points, we would explore that option and then put them where we believe they can best help us out.
Indiana State's had a lot of success over the recent years and, of course, hosting the championship this weekend in Terre Haute.
Mm-hmm.
But just from a Saluki perspective,
Mm-hmm.
what are you just telling your group and telling the program as you get ready to travel to Terre Haute, what you want to see from this week?
Amongst the group, we call it just to be disruptive, right? You're right. Indiana State has they do have a pretty solid program. It is at home, so there's a little bit of home field advantage when it comes to that, but we want to be disruptive. We want to be able to compete at a high level. No matter the outcome, I've been asking them to compete at a high level. Don't worry about the clock. Don't worry about anything, but go for, it's all about wins as opposed to how good did I do. No, you compete at this level, you will do good. So I'm trying to change the mindset of what they need to do moving forward. So all I'm really asking is for them to battle and fight continuously, because it's a Friday, it's a Saturday, it's a Sunday. Over these 3 days, compete at a high level. And if you're done competing, to be a great teammate at a high level as well. A lot of yelling. So this weekend, usually there's a lot of hooping and hollering. Every event, every person that runs, we are cheering. And we're asking, those that are competing and those that are not to just keep that going.
You've had success as an athlete. You've had success as a coach when you get to this time of year. It's a long haul, as you said. It's multiple days, and sometimes those days can get really hot. There's a lot of factors that go into it, whether it's the weather, et cetera. What have you found is the most consistent factor of having success this time of year that you try to do your part from your experience to bring to your athletes?
Really just getting to a point of zen at this stage in the game. This group of young men and women, I've had to openly speak to them on it, that I'm going to trust that you are going to compete. We've done all that we can do up to this point, so it's really just, whatever you need from me to help you be successful. Some people may need me to be a rah-rah person, a cut man, as I call it, just really get them going. Some people are cool by themselves and don't need anything, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to just kind of get them to their best, to give them the best version of themselves this weekend. So I get a little bit, I'm very in my own head. So I'm not a rah-rah person as by nature. I'm just kind of, but I'm constantly thinking, I'm walking, I'm pacing, I'm sitting down, and then that's how I am. So they know what it is. After they run, they usually come see me. We have a protocol that we do. So I'm just really speaking life into them, keeping it calm, and trusting that they're going to perform as best they can, as we've been doing all year.
Well, I know you call your team young, and they are a lot of young superstars that you have really in the making. Coach Jones, really looking forward to this weekend, watching your team compete in Terre Haute. We wish you the best of luck and have some fun. Be disruptive this weekend
be disruptive.
in Terre Haute.
That is the goal. We call them ankle biters, too. Bite a few ankles. Just do what you got to do. Be disruptive.